Community Forum is sponsored by the Easton Grange 196 and a friend of Yardley Wood Rink and the Easton Lions Club.
There's a storm across the valley, the clouds are rolling in. The afternoon is heavy on your shoulders. There's a truck out on the 4-lane, a mile or more away. The whining of his wheels just makes it colder.
Welcome to Community Forum. Today is January 23rd, 2025, a new year. And I'm Priscilla, Almquist Olsen, your host. And today it gives me a great deal of pleasure to welcome Patty Conant and Eileen Ruhl, who are members and actually staff for Learning to Cope. And Learning to Cope has been around for 20 years, and most of us have not heard about it, but they have been doing outstanding work. And it started with Joanne Peterson of Rainham more than 20 years ago. It's a support group for families who are experiencing a family member with addiction and learning to cope. Learning to cope with addiction in one's own family is the mission. And Patty, you can correct me on that?
Just that it's learn to cope, not learning.
Oh, learn to cope.
Yes.
Sorry. That's the old English teacher in me, I guess. And learn to cope. And that is really major, isn't it? In the minds and hearts of people who are facing these extraordinary challenges in their families. So, yes. Patty, tell me a little bit about your involvement.
So I'm the regional manager for Learn to Cope for a few different meetings, one of which is Easton. And we meet twice a month in the Queeset House, the second and fourth Monday of each month. It's basically peer support. People come and talk about whatever is on their minds that day, and people will give them their ideas and their resources that they might have on what might be a good way to handle a certain situation.
And Patty, you are the moderator of the group?
Facilitator.
You facilitate, right, you're the facilitator. And Eileen, how about you? What are your duties?
Well, I'm program director for Learn to Cope, so I handle payroll, HR, I supervise, and I also run the Plymouth Learn to Cope meeting, which is run out of the Plymouth Recovery Center.
Okay, and tell me, how is this funded? I mean, you have personnel, so you must have funding.
We do have a Massachusetts Department of Public Health contract, which takes care of a lot of the running of the programs and so forth. But we also have a nonprofit budget where we raise funds to help our members. We've done things like paid for school books for a grandparent raising a grandchild going to college. We have paid for a gal who wanted, in long-term recovery, who wanted to become a yoga teacher, and she still to this day is a yoga teacher. We, each year, well, the third year coming up now, we have a retreat for our members, and it's really it's a well-being retreat. So it's to try to get away from the stresses of dealing with a loved one with substance use disorder. And we've held it up in New Hampshire the last 2 years, and the third year will be as well. And we do things like yoga, sound healing. We have guest speakers come. And Learn to Cope does fund that. We provide all the activities and the meals for everyone for that weekend. And that's just a few of the things that we do.
Mm-hmm. And Patty, what is your biggest satisfaction from participating in this?
Well, I have seen people come to our meetings, which are peer support, and kind of literally can't really stop crying throughout the meeting. but they get so much support and love from the other members, and also ideas on what to do to help. And they leave often a different person. And I can think of a few off the top of my head that, you know, they become helpers instead of needing total support. Now it can change because people in recovery relapse. So, you know, you always have those emotional times, but I think most satisfying is to see someone come in who can really hardly communicate and just feeling so good about having come and feeling like they can take care of themselves now, so that they can go on and then maybe also help their loved one because they're in a better position to help themselves, which you really have to do before you can help someone else.
And are any of those family members who are have a substance abuse problem, are they ever invited into the group, or is it just the family members who are affected by?
It's really not appropriate for people in recovery unless they've got a year in. Once they've got a year in recovery, then we'll have them come in as a speaker. And if they wanted to come with their loved one, they could. It's really not necessarily that helpful for them, but you know, they're welcome to, but it's really, they've got so many other places for meetings to help themselves. And coming in as a speaker and wanting to learn about what their parent or even siblings, a lot of siblings, or spouse, you know, is doing for their self-care, then, you know, they're more than welcome to, and we have had some, but
So
you could go to a
your
meeting.
your meetings at the Queeset House are twice a month, and so you have one meeting that's just among the members and support, and then you have another. The second meeting is usually a speaker.
Yes, the second, right, the second and fourth Monday at the Queeset House, we have the in-person support meetings. Every other meeting we'll have a speaker, and when we're not in person, then it's an online meeting. And if people want to join that, and they could join any online meeting at any time, any night that they want to, or even in person. If you want to travel.
Eileen, talk a little bit about the online meetings, the Zoom factor, and how it all started.
Okay, well, prior to COVID, all of our meetings were in person. They were all, except for one, based out of Massachusetts. We did have one Florida meeting that started up by some women who heard about us up here and wanted to start a meeting. So we had them come up to Massachusetts, shadow meetings, take our facilitator training, and then, you know, we established a meeting in Florida, which is self-paid. We don't, because we have funds from the Department of Public Health in Massachusetts, they can only be used for the meetings here. But during the height of COVID, we had to move everything online, and which actually was a blessing in a way, because at that point we started seeing people from all over the country join us. In fact, we have people from all throughout the United States and outside the United States that join us each week. And about 2.5 years ago, when things started lifting up a bit, we went back to some in-person meetings, but that's why we split them. So a lot of our locations will meet twice a month in person, and the rest of the time, you know, online. We have some people that will go to meetings. So our meetings are Monday through Thursday evening. Some of them go every single night to a different meeting. They're not married to one particular meeting. But that being said, our meetings become families in and of themselves. Folks become very close. Many of them have never met each other outside the walls of the computer, but they're very, very loving and caring for each other, and are there for each other in heartache, because unfortunately with this disease, there are times when a loved one does not survive. And the folks that come to us get the support from their peers even after their loved one has passed. It's a real remarkable thing to see.
And so this is a program that has multiplied, and it's really across country, isn't it?
It sure is. Yes, it is.
So that kind of started when Joanne was interviewed, who's our founder, was interviewed by Sanjay Gupta on CNN a couple of years,
I think probably fall of 2001.
And we got so much, 2021?
I'm sorry, 21,
So we got
yes.
so many, people interested in the program that we started the national meeting at 9 o'clock on one Tuesday a month. And we have people who come who are on the meetings from California at 7. It doesn't really matter, but that's just available for people who couldn't make the 7 o'clock. So, yeah, we got a lot of people from all different parts of the country after that.
And how do people learn about this program? I mean, is it word of mouth? Is it something that you put out there?
A lot of different ways. So, we do, we have a Facebook page, we have Instagram and so forth. A lot of court systems, because unfortunately a lot of the loved ones end up with dealing with the court system. They tell the family members about us. Hospitals do, psychologists do.
Social workers.
Social workers. Some people just doing a Google search will learn about us that way. We don't charge for anything. So, we get people calling us, and Patty and I are 2 of the 3 people that answer the phone. We work remotely. They'll call up and, just say, I just saw you, was doing a Google search and saw you, and they, ask about us and want to know all about us. So we get people from so many different ways. In fact, when we hear someone that's interested, we ask them to go to our website and fill out what we call the Stay Connected form. And that tells us a little bit about them, where they're from, and how they found out about us and so forth. And really the only prerequisite to coming to our meeting is that you are at least 18 years of age or older, so you have to be 18 to come, and you have a loved one with substance use disorder, whether that person is in active addiction or recovery. So, those are the only prerequisites for joining our group.
And what does the Department of Public Health provide? Do they provide information about your group too, so that they're propagandizing the support group?
People do learn of us through Department of Public Health, and in particular BSAS, the Bureau of Substance Addiction Services. That's the portion of DPH that we are funded through. So they certainly do send people our way. But for DPH, they, in a nutshell, they fund our programs for us. So,
and what would you estimate, Patty, are the numbers of people that you have provided your services to throughout the years?
This reminds me of the forum, which we forgot. We have a forum on our website where anyone can go at any time and ask a question, and someone will answer. It's almost like a meeting, but it's whenever you get, whenever somebody gets around to answering you. So they have 12,000 people registered.
Actually, we're over 13,000 now.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay. The last number I heard was 12. And as far as the meetings, do you remember? I didn't look up the numbers before we came. Do you remember?
It's hard. We have thousands of people. I mean, we have had thousands of members over the years. I mean, our groups, we have a number of groups throughout the week, and the size varies depending on the group. Some of them may have 8 or 10 people. We had one the other night that had 50. So, it varies. And people come and go. And there are people that come, and then they might leave for a while because their loved one's doing well, and then they come back when the loved one's not doing so well. We also have people that have been with us and stay with us. We have one gal in particular that comes to one of our meetings. She lost her son in April, and she still comes to our meetings. She's a facilitator for our meetings because she wants to give back. She feels, and she does have a lot to offer, and she also says it still helps her. So, and as far as facilitators, our staff, we facilitate, but we also train our members who are in a place where they feel like they want to give back, they're in a good headspace at the time, and if we feel like they're going to make a good facilitator, we provide training for them, and then they'll facilitate the meetings as well.
I think. And do any of them start their own meetings?
No, we've had people that have said, we'd love to have a meeting in this location.
Okay.
And then what we've done in the past is say, okay, make sure, we put it on them to help us out. Get a group of folks that are interested in starting a meeting in, I'm going to make this up, Halifax, say. And, let's see who's interested. And then if we have the buildup of interest, then we might have some public meeting, with them and see if there's enough interest to start a meeting. So we have started meetings that way too.
So it sounds to me that you have a lot of support yourselves in terms of the people who are taking leadership positions. And so what have been some of your challenges as facilitators, for example? Patty, you want to?
Well, it is difficult when we moved the Easton meeting from Brockton to Easton. It really hasn't built up the way that I'd hoped, and hopefully this will be one thing that will help a little bit. So I'll get the information out to the police and the fire, and wherever else we think it might be helpful, we'll put up posters. But only so many people are going to see, so many people are going to pay attention or need it, and it's a certain subset of people who are interested. So that's one of the challenges, and sometimes can be a very difficult situation. We did have a loss last week in a Monday night online meeting, and it was someone who'd been on the meeting for years, and everybody knew them really well. A great couple. So it was heartbreaking, even though I haven't met them. A lot of them haven't. It's just heartbreaking. Everybody was just heartbroken, but they were able to supply such great support that I think everybody actually felt kind of good at the end of the meeting. Yeah. It was really an amazing thing to see, and you learn a lot. You learn just from what other people are going through and how they're helping themselves and helping others. Then you learn other ways to go about doing that. So
tell me, Eileen, how did you get involved?
Well, it's funny. I've come from a background of working with nonprofits, and I've also worked for law firms and CPA firms. I have a few different careers in my life, but I really wanted to get back to nonprofit because that's where my heart was. I actually happen to have a family member who has substance use disorder, who is in recovery. And when she was in the hospital, a social worker told me about Learn to Cope. And then a few years later, position opened up, and I said, oh, I'm going to apply for this. And it was funny because when I wrote my cover letter, it was very different than the typical, cover letter, very business-like. I actually talked about my background and how important working for Learn to Cope would be for me. And honestly, most of our staff have a loved one with substance use disorder. So the majority, we're a staff of 16. We have hundreds of volunteers, which are, mostly are people that facilitate the meetings with us. And we also were the very first family program across the United States where we give out Narcan for free. We train people how to use Narcan, and we give it out for free to our members. So we've also trained our members to then give out Narcan to other members in the group.
Wow.
So it's we've really expanded. I mean, again, I said earlier, COVID, there's always something good that comes out of something bad. And aside from the fact that we've been able to reach so many more people now that we're online, I think September of 2020, we started a group called Still Learning, Still Coping, because we found we had a lot of members who had a loved one with substance use disorder, but had already lost someone to substance use. So that meeting is for those folks. They can talk about their grief, yet talk about, how they're dealing with the loved one that's still dealing with substance use disorder. And then we've also established a grief group for those who have lost loved ones to substance use disorder.
Members.
Yes.
That's fairly recent. Oh.
Yeah.
Wow. So your program is so expansive. Has this been a gradual extension when needs have arisen?
It's exactly what's happened, wouldn't you say?
It is. And I did just want to add, I just remember, we do also have a Spanish meeting.
Oh.
It's in Western Mass, and I think it's hybrid.
It is hybrid.
It's hybrid, so you could join from here or be in person. But yeah, that's it. You know, where there's a need, we try to fill it. And
right.
We have great staff, great people who are always looking to make things better and to help people more. People go way out of their way to help others, like just driving to give them Narcan or anything, going to just go over and talk. You know?
And I imagine that you get a lot of suggestions from participants.
Either that or it'll pop up from what discussions there are, and then it will kind of germinate from there. Very organic.
Mm-hmm. Very organic.
Yeah.
Yes, I can see that. And so, and obviously, the staff is willing to accept new ideas and to change and offer programs that fulfill your mission, really.
Yep.
Yeah, we're a true team, and I have to say, I mean, the longevity of our staff. You know, Patty and I are going on 8 years. Actually, 5 of us are going on 8 years. We all joined in 2017. We have 3, and I told you we're only a staff of 16. 3 of them just hit 10 years this past year, not including our founder. So, you know, that's right there is half the staff that have been here 8 years or longer.
But the goal is to always, what can we do to help? What would be the best way to help in this situation or this or this? And that comes from Joanne. That comes from our founder. And she has a particular place in her heart for the children who are affected. So that's why the Forget Me Not initiative that Eileen mentioned earlier was based on how to help the children who are affected.
Yeah, maybe, Eileen, you can elaborate on that program, Forget Me Not?
Sure. So, like Patty said, Joanne Peterson, she saw a big need for the children who get left behind when a parent is either struggling to the point where they can't raise their child or have passed on and they're being raised by a grandparent or another family member. So this fall, she established the Forget Me Not initiative. And in December, we gave out $20,000 in grants. We hope to give out more this coming year. And it was for, people had to apply. And it was for children up to age 18 to pay for, I mean, it could have been for, you know, basketball camp for a family that can't afford it, or diapers for a family that, you know, raising a grandchild that can't afford that, or, you know, kids getting ready for college that want to, you know, buy stuff for their dorm room. I mean, it's really meant to help the children and their families.
And a lot of that was funded by, you know, direct request. You know, we're starting this program, and a lot of people just donated to help with that program. So I know she wants to make it larger next year, and but that the offer for people to apply went to the Learn to Cope members. Mm-hmm. It's not out in the public realm. It's members who are part of Learn to Cope or even know someone, you know. And
can the public donate?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And what information can you give the public for that?
Well, our website is learn2.org. Whoops.
Cope.
Learn2.
Cope.
Cope.org. And there's a donate button on there. There's an awful lot of information on there about anything, education and webinars and things. And also, that's where you would go if you wanted to get information on a particular meeting. A Stay Connected button, just click that and put in your basic information and your email, and you'll get an email with a link for the meeting.
And people will donate. They can send us checks. We are really starting to fundraise more intentionally now. And this year, we have a number of folks running for us in various road races. 3 are running for Learn to Cope in the Boston Marathon this year. We have 5 bibs for the Newport 10 miler in June, and 5 bibs for the Falmouth road race in August. So we have folks that are going to be raising money for us, and there will be a special spot on our website if folks want to donate toward the runners, because they have to meet certain minimum,
Sure.
pledges. So
I think that's up for the marathon already, isn't it?
it is already up for the
So
marathon.
because that's the first one in April, and there's a link on our front homepage of our website to.
So
donate
would you
to
give that website information again?
Sure. It's www.learn2cope.org.
Okay, well, that's pretty easy.
Sure is.
And how much of your revenue do you get from donations?
Well, we have a nonprofit budget, I would say it's a budget, and it's also our nonprofit account, and that that all comes from direct donations. Like I said, whether it's someone that really, we have some folks that donate monthly to us. Some people do the end of the year donation. We did have an annual appeal this year, so we raised a bit that way. Again, through the marathon running and other road races. The hardest ones we get are the ones that come in for our memorials. We often are put in someone's obituary, and sadly we get a lot of money through that. We also are in-person meetings. We do call pass the hat type of thing, and folks, if they want to, can donate a few dollars, and it all goes back to things like the initiative, the Forget Me Not initiative, or helping folks out in need, people in our groups that have a need.
And one other thing we both forgot is every August we offer a day at Canopy Lake Park, and it's for 2 children and 1 adult, and that we Learn to Cope subsidizes that. We pay for that, for them to go there.
For the children.
For the day, yes, and 1 adult for every 2 kids, and they go there for the day, and it's a real nice respite for people who
Of
may
course.
not be able to get there, and it's,
Right.
those kinds of things are pretty pricey.
So we have about 2 minutes left, and tell me, what do you want people to get from this very informative, interesting conversation we've had today? What is your appeal?
I would say don't hesitate to walk into that first meeting. I know it's really difficult, and it is for everybody. You're not required to do anything or to participate. You could just come and sit and listen. Especially on Zoom, you don't even have to put the camera on if you wanted to. But if you come to the one meeting and listen to what other people are talking about and discussing about their loved one, you'll probably hear your story. And then you'll realize that you're not alone, that it's okay to talk about it because many people don't. And that there's other people going through the same thing, and now you know them and you know where to come to talk about it some more, and to just makes people feel so much better, just to know that.
And we don't charge anything, and when I'm talking to folks that call us and want to know about us, I'll say, you know what, give us a try, and I tell them go to everything. We're not just saying just come here and don't go there. Go to Al-Anon, go to Nar-Anon, go,
Many do.
go to everything, because I figured the more help you get, the better.
Yes. Okay, well, I want to thank you both for joining me today on Community Forum. And Queeset House is the 2nd and 4th Thursdays? Mondays. At what time?
This coming 6 o'clock. This coming Monday, we have our next meeting. I believe it's the 27th.
27th February. So
January.
Right. So spread the word, and Patty Conant and Eileen Ruhl, thank you so much for being here today, and to the audience at home, pass the word along. This is a magnificent, wonderful, and comforting organization. So we want to be sure that everybody knows about it. Tell your neighbors, tell your friends. Thank you for joining me today. Until next time.